Alright, picture this. It's barely 5 a.m. The sky's still dark, and I'm jolted awake by fists pounding on our front door like they're trying to break it down. Flashlights slice through our living room window, catching my grandpa, Henry, in his wheelchair, his hands shaky but his eyes sharp as ever, like he's staring down a storm he's faced before. I grab my phone, hit record, and think, this is about to go south fast. Welcome to the morning our quiet little neighborhood in Willow Creek got turned upside down over get Thesa flower pot. I'm Lucas Bennett, and this is the story of how my grandpa's sunflowers sparked a war with the HOA queen, Diane Palmer, who had no clue she'd just picked a fight with the wrong family. Let me set the scene. Willow Creek's one of those cookie-cutter suburbs where every house is painted the same shade of don't offend anyone gray, and the biggest scandal is usually someone forgetting to mow their lawn on schedule. Grandpa Henry's 79, a Vietnam vet who's been in that wheelchair since a stroke hit him 4 years back. But don't let that fool you, has still got the grit of a man who's seen real battles, and he wears his old army jacket like a badge of honor. Me? I'm just a 25-year-old paralegal, living with him to help out, trying to keep the peace in a neighborhood ruled by Diane, our HOA president, who treats the rulebook like it's the Bible and she's the only one allowed to preach. Diane's the type who'd measure your mailbox height with a ruler and call it a personality trait. She's been on a power trip ever since her real estate side hustle tanked, and now she's got her sights set on Grandpa's pride and joy, a big clay planter full of sunflowers he grows for my late grandma, Clara. Those flowers aren't just plants, they're his way of talking to her, of keeping her memory alive, and every morning he wheels out to tend them, muttering about the weather or Diane's latest nonsense. It all started 2 weeks ago when Diane launched what she called her neighborhood beautification project, basically her excuse to stalk the block with a clipboard, sniffing out anything that didn't fit her beige vision of perfection. She'd been slapping fines on folks for dumb stuff like unapproved fence colors or excessive garden gnomes, and most people just paid up to avoid her wrath. But when she rolled up to our place, eyeing Grandpa's planter like it was a war crime, I knew we were in for it. That pot's 20 inches wide, she snapped, waving her measuring tape like a sword. Bylaws say 18 inches max. It's a safety hazard. Safety hazard? It's a flower pot, Diane, not a landmine. Grandpa just stared her down, calm as ever, and said, "This is for Clara. You want it gone, you'll have to roll over me first." I swear, the air crackled. Diane scribbled a $500 fine and stormed off, probably thinking she'd scared us straight. She didn't know Grandpa had 2 sons, me uncles, Ethan and Caleb, who don't take kindly to anyone messing with family. Fast forward to that crazy morning. The cops are at our door, looking embarrassed as they read Diane's complaint about our oversized decorative obstruction. Diane's standing behind them, clutching her citation like she's Napoleon at Waterloo, her smug grin saying she's finally got us cornered. I'm fuming, but Grandpa's cool as ice, his army jacket on like he's ready for battle. "Lucas," he whispers, "text your uncles." Now, I fire off 3 words. Get here fast. 10 minutes later, I hear the growl of a pickup truck tearing into our driveway, and out step Ethan and Caleb, my Navy SEAL uncles, looking like they just walked off a mission. Diane's face goes pale. The cops exchange a glance like, we didn't sign up for this. And just like that, the game changes. See, Ethan and Caleb aren't your average guys. They're 34, built like tanks, and move with this quiet confidence that makes you feel like they've already sized up the room and know how to handle whatever's coming. They've been SEALs for over a decade, dealing with stuff way scarier than a suburban dictator with a clipboard. Diane didn't know that when she decided to play hardball with Grandpa's flowers. While the cops mumble apologies and leave, Diane scurries back to her house across the street, probably plotting her next move. I spend the day digging through HOA rules, and what I find makes my blood boil. That 18-inch pot rule. It's brand new, slipped into the bylaws 2 weeks ago at a shady meeting with only 3 board members way short of the legal quorum. And it's not just us. Diane's been targeting anyone who doesn't fit her perfect little vision. Mrs. Lynn next door got fined for her Buddhist prayer flags. The Garcias down the street caught heat for their kids' lemonade stand. And old Mr. Thompson's vintage Chevy got slapped with a visual nuisance citation. It's not about rules, it's about control. Grandpa's sitting at the kitchen table, his reading glasses on, poring over the bylaws like he's planning a military op She's running a campaign, he says, his voice low, like he's back in Nam mapping out enemy moves. This ain't about flowers, Lucas. It's about power. Then he tells me about the sunflowers really tells me. They were Clara's favorite, sure, but they were also in her wedding bouquet when she married him before he shipped out. She planted them at every base they lived on, even when she was sick, because they reminded her of hope, of him coming home. Those flowers are 55 years of promises I made her, he says, his hands trembling not from the stroke, but from the weight of it all. Diane doesn't get to take that away. I'm choked up, realizing this isn't just a fight over a pot. It's about love, memory, and standing up to someone who thinks they can bully a man's heart. By noon, Diane's upping the ante, blanketing the neighborhood with flyers screaming about safety hazards from our planter, trying to spin it like Grandpa's a menace to society. She's even got her lackey, Tom Weaver, knocking on doors, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. When he hands me a flyer, he can't meet Grandpa's eyes, muttering, "Just doing what Diane says, you know?" I'm starting to see cracks in her empire. Tom's not loyal. He's just scared. Then Mrs. Lynn slips over with a plate of dumplings and a whisper. Diane made me take down my prayer flags. Said they didn't fit the vibe. It felt like she was ashamed of who I am. That's when it hits me. Diane's not just a control freak. She's trying to erase anything that doesn't match her sterile suburban fantasy. This is personal, and it's bigger than us. When Ethan and Caleb roll in at 2 a.m., the house feels different, like we've got reinforcements. They hug Grandpa. No words needed, just that quiet family strength. Ethan's scanning my stack of HOA docs, spotting the quorum violation in seconds. This bylaw's garbage, he says, all business. Caleb's at the window, clocking Diane's house where a light's flickering in her office. She's watching us, he says, half smirking. Big mistake. They start working like it's a mission. Ethan's on the phone with legal buddies, digging into HOA laws, while Caleb's out charming neighbors, getting stories of Diane's reign of terror. Turns out, she's been at this for 2 years, finding people for everything from wrong Christmas lights to kids' chalk drawings. Mr. Thompson hands Caleb a notebook he's kept, every page filled with dates, quotes, even sketches of Diane measuring his car like it's evidence in a crime scene. She told me I needed to learn respect, he says, shaking his head. Respect for what? Her ego. Diane doesn't back down. She doubles down, calling Channel 5 News with a sob story about military intimidation in our quiet little suburb. She's painting us as the bad guys, saying Grandpa's sons are special ops threats. I'm like, lady, they're just here to protect their dad's flowers. Her big move is an emergency HOA meeting, set for the next night, with only 24 hours. Notice another rule she's breaking. She's banking on steamrolling everyone before we can organize. Big mistake. Ethan and Caleb are already 3 steps ahead, pulling together what Ethan calls the evidence package, every shady bylaw, every sketchy expense Diane's charged to the HOA, every neighbor's story. Mrs. Lynn's ready to talk about her prayer flags. The Garcias are bringing their kids to show the lemonade stand nonsense. Even Mrs. Dorsey, one of Diane's cronies, admits Diane offered to waive her late fees if she'd vote against us. This isn't just a meeting, it's a reckoning. The community center's packed, 50 people crammed in where we usually get 15. Diane struts in with her clipboard, acting like she's got this in the bag, but her eyes are nervous, darting around. She kicks off with a PowerPoint that's pure comedy gold, pictures of Ethan and Caleb in our driveway, labeled unknown military operatives. I'm biting my lip to keep from laughing. She's ranting about community safety and civilian authority, like we're staging a coup over sunflowers. The cop she dragged in, Officer Daniels, looks like he's regretting his life choices, mumbling that no laws were broken, just HOA rules. Then Ethan stands up, calm as a lake, and asks to speak. Diane freezes, but she can't say no without looking scared. Ethan lays it out. The bylaw's illegal, the meeting's invalid, and Diane's targeting people like it's a personal vendetta. I follow with the evidence package, showing her pattern finds, threats, even using HOA cash for her own real estate gigs. The room's dead quiet as Mrs. Lynn holds up her prayer flag photos, her voice shaking but strong. These are my faith. She made me feel like they were wrong. The Garcias kids, all of 8 and 6, sit there with their lemonade stand sign, and people are whispering, "This is insane." Mr. Thompson reads from his notebook, quoting Diane saying she'd make examples of anyone who defied her. Then Mrs. Dorsey stands, tears in her eyes, and spills it. Diane offered me a deal to vote against Henry. I'm so sorry. The room erupts. Diane's unraveling, snapping that strong leadership is needed for property values. When she says Grandpa's veteran status doesn't give him a free pass, you can feel the air get sucked out. That's if their last ally ditches her. The vote's a landslide. 44-3, Diane's out as president. Every fine from her reign of terror wiped clean. As she grabs her clipboard and storms out, the room feels lighter, like we've all been holding our breath for years. The next morning, Mrs. Lynn's prayer flags are back up, fluttering like a middle finger to Diane's rules. The Garcia kids are slinging lemonade, and Mr. Thompson's Chevy gleams in his driveway. Diane's facing an audit now. Turns out she was funneling HOA money into her own pockets, and the state's sniffing around for fair housing violations. Grandpa's out front, tending his sunflowers, but he's not done. Ethan and Caleb help him build a community garden, raised beds, so he can teach kids how to grow stuff. It's not just for Clara Anna Marie, it's for all of us. Channel 5 does a follow-up, and suddenly Grandpa's a local hero, invited to testify for HOA reform at the state capitol. That flower pot. It's not just a pot anymore. It's a symbol of fighting back. But here's the thing, Diane's still out there, probably plotting her comeback. Should she have backed off when she saw who she was up against? Or was this always going to blow up? I'm Lucas, telling this from Chicago, and I want to know, have you ever faced a Diane in your neighborhood? Drop a comment with your craziest HOA story, and let's talk. When do you stand up, and when do you let it go? Hit that like button if you're Team Sunflower, and subscribe for more stories about regular folks taking on the petty tyrants. This is Harper Stories, and we're just getting started.